All right, guys, let's go over these questions. They are adding and subtracting when we go to the hundredths place, but our numbers are between 100 and 1,000. So I'm going to start off with the count forward strategy for A because there's not going to be any carrying I can see in there. So now I would have 200 plus 100, which is 300, 70 plus 20, which is 90, 3 plus 5, which is 8, 4 tenths plus 3 tenths, which is 7 tenths, and 6 hundredths plus 1 hundredth, which is 7 hundredths. So 398.77. If I look at B, I have the same thing. There's no there's no carrying. So I can start in the hundreds place if I want. So 300 plus 200 is 500, 20 plus 50 is 70, 6 plus 3 is 9, 7 plus 1 is 8, and 1 plus 8 is 9. If I look at C, I do have some carrying that's going to happen here with this 5 plus 8 in the hundredths place, and I think that's the only place I see any carrying. So I'm just going to do my count forward, and I'll have to tweak it a little at the end. So 400 plus 300 is 700, 70 plus 10 is 80, 2 plus 7 is 9, 1 plus 6 is 7, and then 5 hundredths plus 8 hundredths is 13 hundredths. So I'm going to put the 3 in the hundredths, and this tenths place is going to become 8. I had to add 1 to the tenths because of the 13 in the hundredths place. It's getting a little bit more complicated, so I'm going to stack, and I'm going to use the carrying method for these last two adding questions. So I know my answer is going to be 760, something like that for D. Let's find the exact answer. 9 and 3 is 12. I'm going to carry the 1. 1 and 3 is 4. 4 plus 5 is 9. 8 plus 5 is 13. So I'm going to put 3 here, carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 4 is 6. And 6 plus 1 is 7. So 763.92. I can't remember what I said for an estimate. Hopefully it was something close to that. Last question. I'm going to also stack this one here. 578.53 plus 364.97. There's going to be quite a bit of, carrying here, but I do know my answer is going to be 900 and something, 930 I'm going to guess. So let's start with the hundredths place to find the exact answer. So 3 and 7 is 0, so we're going to carry the 1. 6 and 9 is 15, so I'm going to carry the 1. I'm going to put my decimal in right now so I don't forget it. 1 and 8 is 9. 9 and 4 is 13. I'm going to carry the 1. 1 and 7 is 8. 8 and 6 is 14. Oh, I think I'm just a little off with my estimate. 6 and 3 is 9. I think I said 930 or something like that. It's 940. Still makes sense. So 943.5. Sorry, I forgot to write the exact answer here. 763.92. For the subtracting questions, I'm going to use my count back strategy when I can, and then I'll do some carrying borrowing when I need to. So for this one here, I see there's not going to be any complications here. So I'm just going to start with the hundreds place. 800 minus 500 is 300. 30 minus 20 is 10. 7 minus 4 is 3. 9 minus 6 is 3. And 4 minus 1 is 3. 313.33. Lots of 3's there. There's no complications in this one here for regrouping either. So I'm going to go for G. I'm going to use that count back. 600 minus 400 is 200. 70 minus 40 is 30. 4 minus 2 is 1 decimal. 2 minus 2 is 0. And 9 minus 5 is 4. I'm looking here and I see there's a complication here. 4 tenths minus 8 tenths. I'm going to have to do some borrowing there. So I'm just going to stack it to make it easier for myself. Oops. 7 minus 261.82. Okay, so my answer is going to be 300. I think it's going to be pretty close to 300. Going to the exact answer, 7 minus 2 is 5. 4 minus 8 I'll have to borrow, so I'm going to take a 1 from the 1 and move it over to the tenths place. So now I have 14 tenths. 14 minus 8 is 6. 1 minus 1 is 0. 6 minus 6 is 0. And 5 minus 2 is 3. 300.65. Once again, I have some complications here because I have a 1 minus 7 in the tens place and a 4 minus 8 in the ones place. So I'm just going to stack it to find that exact answer. I do know my answer is going to be somewhere around 200, I'm going to say about 240 or so, 230, 240. Just looking at the front end, 700 minus 400 is 300, and it's going to be below that. So now, if I go to the hundredths place, I have 2 minus 8. I'm going to borrow. 12 minus 8 is 4. Now 5 minus 3 is 2. 4 minus 8, I'm going to borrow again. 14 minus 8 is 6. 0 minus 7, I'm going to borrow again. This becomes 6. 10 minus 7 is 3. And 600 minus 400 is 200. So 236.24. Last question, 820.05 minus 674.27. There's going to be quite a bit of borrowing. And it's going to be that tricky borrowing where I have to borrow for the 0 before I can borrow to the other place. So my answer is going to be, well, 800 minus 600 is 200, so it's going to be around 140, would be my guess. Now, if I look in the hundredths place, I have 5 minus 7. I'm going to have to borrow to make that happen, but it looks like we got a bit of tricky borrowing first. So 0 is going to have to borrow from the 0, the 0 is going to have to borrow from the 2. So this 20 is now going to become 10, and 10 in the ones place. Then this 10 is going to become 9, and I'm going to put that 1 over to the tenths place where it's going to be 10. Then that tenth is going to give 1 over to the hundredths place. Now I have 15 minus 7, which is 8, and 9 minus 2, which is 7, and 9 minus 4, which is 5. Now I have 1 minus 7. I'm going to have to borrow there, 7, and my tens place becomes 11, or 110. That's going to be 40, and 7 minus 6 is 100. So 145.78. That's a 4, by the way. So getting a little bit tricky with some of these questions, but as long as you continue to group your place values together, and then make sure you work on some of that regrouping when you need to. All right, guys. Thank you.